Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is part 2 on the 2010 X5M with the no start condition because of a battery situation. So the customer approved the repairs and the testing. Actually, the testing and repairs, I'm just saying because I'm actually replacing the battery. I recommend it. This is a 2-year-old battery on these engines. It's better to replace. So I want to show you that I have now a brand new battery in there. I just installed it. I haven't fully connected because the ground is still not hooked. But yeah, the battery is on the back. Hopefully we can see now that this is from 1021. So the battery is good to go, and I have to do the battery registration, so let me take you over there. All right, I'm restarting communication with the scanner. ISA. This is gonna take a little while, so let me just stop it and be right back. But yeah, I did this because I'm disconnecting the battery, and that's what you need to do. The battery is plugged back in, and I got the charger plug in too as well, because for doing all the battery registration, and I'm going to erase all the codes that I got right now. I need to have a battery charger. At least with this, it is a mess. You have to do it, okay? All right, we got 58 codes. I'm going to erase everything, but I have to display that memory. It's going to take a little while, but well, this is going to be in the video. It's just not too long, hopefully. And I have to hook up the oscilloscope. I was thinking I'm definitely going to hook up the oscilloscope to the alternator, because this is my problem so far. It's a little hard to reach, but am I going to use Phil's Pro? It's long enough, and I can definitely use still the liquid tape on a location right under the alternator, which is, I mean, like I said, it's very hard to see, but I can definitely see the connection right from here. And I think I can get the cable right there, and I still being able to. The poke that Phil does is really tiny, so I can use a small brush and just cover that with liquid tape. All right, so we got all the folds. Now here again, I'm going to just delete the fold codes. Be right back. All right, five fold codes are still present. We have one in the DME. Let's see, interface ICM. That's not very uncommon in this. And it says the alternator is missing. Shows it's not existing, but why is it still there? And that's the same mileage we got before. I'm gonna try one more time. That is very weird. Am I gonna have to go to that wire on the DME that we were looking before to check for the alternator signal? I might have to drive that much this car for this one, because this is something definitely we need to see. Well, let's go over to service plans and actual vehicle management, service functions. We're going to go to maintenance and pre-check. Let me see, might be here, or battery charger or trickle charger. Yeah, diagnostic socket, no. Reset condition base, no. Might be into engine electronics. They move it. Let me see. It depends on the car that you work. Sometimes it's in the maintenance, and sometimes it's in. It can even be in body. Voltage supply. That's what it is. Battery. And like I said, when you're doing a test plan, ABL is a test plan. The other one will be just information. So we're going to display that test. We're going to do the registration, display battery exchange history. No, register a battery exchange. Continue. Engine off, terminal 15 on. Perfect. Enter battery exchange same capacity. Actually, you don't want to do this because the battery here shows us a 90 amp. The one I put is a 92 amp. Let me show you that on a picture that I took for my records and for the customer. So it's a 92 amp, and I have this barcode, which is going to be necessary to do that registration. So enter battery exchange higher or lower capacity. All right, so we continue. If a battery with higher or lower capacity is installed, the event of change or normal battery must be entered in the vehicle. Okay, so is a new battery original part? Yes. Is there a data matrix? Yes. Input without spaces, upper lower case. Enter the second line. So for 12721. 12721. 1 second, guys. I'm getting a DoorDash deliver. Very important, my food. Input without spaces, upper lower cases. So second line. Maybe this 21B or let me see. It doesn't show. Second one. Okay, one line, second line. Okay, that's not the one. So it would be this 21B, 21B. Yeah, let me see. No, they're showing that 2A9, 3L, 1785. The characters alive. Continue. Battery change is entry in the BME. The battery change was successful. Entry in the DME. Reduce the battery size. Now carry out the following retrofit in the program. Battery, let's see. This is the date. Yeah, that's just the selected date, and that's today's date, and that's the correct time. So perfect. And that's it. Pretty simple. All right, let me see. I'm going to try to erase that code again for the alternator. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start working on that because we'll definitely have an issue there. I'll be right back, guys. I was able to erase it. I don't know why I didn't erase it before. As we can see now, if I go away from the DME, it has a green color, and it's only 3 codes now. So if we read the codes, we no longer have that alternator. So it was, yeah, it's like I said, that was just the last mileage recorded. It was a weird thing that was there. For some reason, it didn't get erased. So the way I erase it, I went to vehicle information. And you can do this like, when you select just one module on a Snap-on or so, you can just erase that one. So you can just call up ECO functions, and in there you would go to diagnose, component trigger, and then the delete fault memory, and that's it. Let me see, make sure. So now we got again 5 fault codes. So it might be happening. Alternator BSD, alternator missing. So nope, this just happened again. Okay, yep, definitely we're gonna, and now it's existing. You see this? So we're gonna have to work and jump on that right away. All right, guys. So let me hook up the equipment, and we'll diagnose this together. All right, going back to the test on the alternator. Now we can calculate the plan in here, which is going to give us what we need now for the alternator communication lines, which is just a 1 wire, but I want to show you that here. And this is just a brief description of what the alternator is and how it looks and blah blah blah, right? So first, rectify communication fault to alternator on the serial, otherwise functional check will not be possible. If the communication fault is currently not present, this fault code entry can be ignored. Well, we have that present. We're going full screen. I'm zooming in, and we have an alternator. We only have 1 wire, so pretty simple. And we can see that probably it's going to show the connector with 2 pins, but it's only 1 pin. Installation location, connector view, not necessary, because if we go back to, let's close this. If we go see in here, that connector, which is the X6524, it has only 1 pin, and that's exactly where I'm connected right now. This is just the big cable. As we can see, this is 35, so this is a very thick wire. And the other one is just a small wire that goes to the DME, and then the ground on the case. All right, so going in there, I have now the scanner the oscilloscope connected. I'm using the Snap-on, so therefore the glare. I have to move that. So Yeah, that's good. And I can see communication, so I'm using Fields Pro on one channel. And I'm using the ground, which I just click out on the same ground where the jump box is connected. That's it. Seems like everything is in there. As far as time wise, so I have 20 volts on channel 1, and time wise I think I put 5 milliseconds. On the snap-on, for those who work with the snap-on, when you stop this and you click the zoom, you have to zoom in and then it zooms out. So we can go and now see the whole waveform gradually bigger or smaller, right? It seems to be okay. I see communication up and down. So is this good or bad? It's a BSD communication, so we can go over to the intelligent battery sensor and see if this is the same thing we see. Because I am connected right now at the alternator, and we have communication. Is this reaching out the DME? I'm not sure about that, because that's right there. I will have to go over to the DME to see if that is the case and we see the same waveform. But my next step is I want to go over to the intelligent battery sensor and see if the waveform looks the same. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, in this same capture, I can see the battery intelligence sensor. It tells me it's a 3-pin connector, and we're looking for a black wire as well. It changes to violet and gray here. Well, it shows as that. Is hard to know if that is the correct wire color. We'll see. The other one should be green with a red, and then a red, which should be a bigger wire for power. So let's go over to the sensor itself. So 1, 2, 3, it should be pin 2, which is the center pin. All right, so let me take you over to the intelligent battery sensor and see how that signal looks. Okay, now connected to the battery sensor, the center wire, which is in this case gray. Looks like we got the same thing. Let me stop this. I'm using the same settings. Zooming out again to zoom in. Okay. So it seems like it goes, okay, so this is a bit different. Hard to decipher sometimes this the way this works. Let me try to see, because sometimes it's more high than low. But is that a repetitive pattern or not? I wish we can. I mean, is that? Oh yeah, we can. Yes. All right. So as you can see now, we got more high, 12 volts, battery voltage, and then almost ground. And I can actually put some cursors in here to make sure that we have the same voltage. Cursor 1 is at 12.6, cursor 2 is at 1.32. Let's zoom a little more to actually capture the correct measurement. And yes, 12.7 to 1.3. And we can see that sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. But it's not the same, because we can see in here was high, and then very short low, and then it went from like low to high. It is a communication line, so we cannot really decipher that. I'm going back to the alternator and see if we see the same thing. Let me just see this a little more, see if it's repetitive. It doesn't seem to be repetitive. Now we have more. Let me hide the cursors so we can see more the the whole waveform. But see, his all this time was high. After this kind of like low session, see, high, high, high. Now it's less high and more low, and then one high again. Trying to see this with you guys too. Yeah. Let's zoom out a little more. So we can see this whole time was high and then kind of like change. But this is different here, so it's trying to, it is communicating. I mean, we have no faults on the IBS. Let's go back to the alternator and see what we see there. All right. All right, we're back at the alternator, so you guys can see that we are connected here. This is the waveform that we had before from the IBS. Turn all these lights off. Alright, so now we need to record again. Let me just collect some of the signals. And snap this and do the same thing. Again, remember guys, I'm doing this live, so bear with me. Sometimes I have to think and talk, so it's the thought process is a little hard sometimes. Trying to share the information with you too. All right, so let's show the cursors. I might have to go back and get them. Oh no, actually it's working. So let's first measure the values. 12.6 to 1.3, so they're the same. So we can get rid of the cursors. We don't need those for nothing else. Yeah, look at the signal. It looks just like the other one. Now, is this signal being produced by the alternator or by the DME? There is two ways that we can check this. Going over to the DME and check, make sure that that signal is there as well. We can disconnect the IBS and see if the signal is being produced by the IBS or it's a 12 volts that is being pulled down by the IBS, because that will be probably our easiest way to see a signal like this, how it reacts. So let's go back to the IBS. All right guys, sorry for the glare. Common things on the shops. I have the IBS unplugged, as you can see here. And the signal is still there. So I know the alternator is there and they're all in the same signal, but this is a different wire to a different connector on the computer. And I am recording. As you can see, I'm going to stop the signal. And now we're going to zoom out. And we can now go to like 16. Yeah, we got pretty much the same signal. So yeah, the computer sends the signal and waits for a response on, in this case, the IBS or the alternator and the other, not module, because they're not module, but you know, devices, and it's not receiving the response. So yeah, I'm gonna have to unplug the alternator, make sure that signal is in there. If with the alternator unplugged, that signal is there, then we have a bad alternator. That's my next test. All right, one other thing that I want to show you is the computer is reading everything perfectly. Look, I disconnected the IBS and telling the battery sensor, meaning it's now not present. The alternator is present immediately. So you see that we have an open wire on the DME that is not receiving the signal from the alternator, or we have a bad alternator. So I think disconnected this alternator is very hard. Unpinning the computer is going to be very hard, because that's the only other way that you can do. Cut the wire? No, I'm not going to cut a wire. So I'm going to try to unplug that wire from the alternator, the connector, and see if I get that signal still reaching to that point, then we have a bad alternator. There is no other explanation, right? Okay, so I just want to show you this before I proceed with the next part. And yeah, just for the sake of the video too, I went in and erased the codes, and then yes, the alternator missing comes back. As soon as It's not really immediately. I have to go actually and call ECU functions, and then as soon as I click on that, I don't have to even do anything else. That comes back immediately. All right, so let's try to unplug this alternator. All right, guys, I managed to disconnect the alternator. It was a nightmare. I got to use picks, and 2 picks, one from here, another one from the bottom. You got to be very careful. These actually, air mass boot, that's what Warpack calls it, but they're actually air ducts. They had the breather connected to it. Otherwise, I would have removed that, and it would be very simple. But in this model, the S63 is a one piece, so it has 2 connections in here, and all this is all the way down to right there, and you have to twist it in 90 degrees to get it out. So it's a nightmare, but well, I got it out. As you can see, we have the connector here. I'm using Phil's probe still because no matter what, I mean, I already had to fix that with liquid tape. But as you can see, the connector is nice and clean, and everything is good. And we have communication. This is live. I haven't even adjusted anything. Well, actually, I think it's still the same. Yeah, we somehow we're looking exactly the same type of signal, and that is not the alternator. That is from the computer. The only thing that I would like to do now, I'm going to remove the probe from here, and we can see if I go and record, and we got absolutely nothing. I want to use, without really bending the terminal or anything, I'm going to use this on the front just to make sure that we're not having a terminal issue. You know, no broken wire that I cannot really see with the naked eye. And this is the best time to test that. So we're just going to touch that in here. And yes, we do have the signal. So yeah, that's not the case either. So yeah, with this, I'm calling a bad alternator. Even though it's new, it's going to have to be replaced again. All right, guys, hopefully this is a good diagnosis process, thought process, and I mean diagnosis. This is going to be the repair. You can see right here, we're not losing communication in here. This is being sent by the computer. The VSD signal is there. The computer is right. The alternator is not putting out the signal. And this didn't happen right away. Like I said, I was looking at the dates, and this was actually almost 2 months ago. And this is happening in the last 100 miles. So this just happens. Otherwise, the customer would have been here really fast. Because I mean, your car is not charging. It's no start. All right, guys. So hopefully you like the content. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be going to Costa Rica December 26th to January 2nd. So I'll be recording some drone footage and sharing some of the beautiful of my country with you too. I hope you like that content as well. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Blessings. Bye-bye.